Hi everyone, my name is Allah Verdi, and dear participants, welcome to our webinar. And we are truly delighted to have you with us today. First of all, we would like to thank the AI search team for making this event possible, our distinguished instructor for sharing valuable knowledge and experience with us, and all of you, our valued guests, for taking the time to join this session. At the Leadership Force Academy, we provide practice-oriented training programs that support professional development in the areas of sales, leaderships, digital transformation, and artificial intelligence. Our mission is to help professionals stay ahead in today's rapidly changing business world. Since 2023, we have been operating as an Azerbaijan-based training instructions across Turkey and the CIS countries. In this context, through our partnership with the US-based AI search, we serve as an unauthorized training and certification partner in this field of artificial intelligence within the region. Through our role-based self-running programs, we offer internationally recognized blockchain-based certifications. Today, we will explore the impact of the artificial intelligence on the business world and the opportunities it creates. Thank you once again for joining us on this journey, and we wish you all inspiring and productive webinar. At this point, I'm delighted to pass the word over Mr. Ishfaki, who will guide us through today's insightful session. Thank you, Mr. Ishfaki.
So, good afternoon, everyone, and very warm welcome to today's professional development series session titled AI at Work. How every professional can benefit from artificial intelligence. My name is Nihit Agarwal, and I'll be your trainer for next 60 minutes. Let me tell you a brief about myself. I'm a Microsoft certified and AI certified trainer, and recently I was recognized by Microsoft as one of the top 100 trainers across the globe out of pool of 15,000 trainers as in data in AI courses. Okay, and just wait. Okay, so, and I'm genuinely excited to spend this time with you. So before we dive in, let me set the expectations. This is not a computer science lecture where we are not going to look at the math equations or write code. Instead, think of this session as a guided tour. I'll walk you through to what AI is, what it shows, and in your day-to-day work, and how businesses are using it right now to save money and time. And most importantly, what you as an individual professional can do starting Monday morning and put AI to work for your career. A quick note, and see, one important thing regarding is like why this topic matters. See, just 3 years ago, generative AI tools like ChatGPT was a novelty. Today's surveys from McKinsey, Gartner, consistently show that more than 70% of the knowledge workers are using AI in some form at work, often without their employer even knowing. And think about that for a moment. The technology has moved from research labs into the daily toolbox of marketers, accountants, teachers, lawyers, doctors, and what many, okay, in less than 36 months. And this is a pace of change we have never seen before, not with electricity, not with personal computer, and even not with a smartphone. And here's a See, last quarter, I worked with a customer support team at Miss Sides, a travel company. They were drowning in repetitive emails, refund requests, itinerary changes, lost baggage queries, and whatnot. So they deployed a simple AI assistant on top of their existing help desk. Okay, so within 8 weeks, the average first time response dropped from 4 hours to under 9 minutes. And the human agents reported higher job satisfaction because they finally had time to handle the genuinely complex cases. No one lost their job. People did more meaningful work. And that's the story we want to tell today. Okay, as we begin, keep three questions in mind. First, where in my own work do I spend times on tasks that I feel repetitive? Second, what would I do with extra 2 hours a day if AI handled those tasks? And third, what is the one small experiment I can run this week or next week to test an AI tool on my real work? And hold on to those questions. We'll return to them at the end. And finally, see, this is an interactive session. Use the chat to pin in the questions, okay? And we'll take that as the session on the verge of session ending, okay? So let's turn the page and look what we have planned to cover today. So in this session, what we are going to cover is we are here for with few goals. The goal number one is like you will leave understanding the core AI concepts without the jargon, words like model, training data, neural network. Goal number two is you will explore practical tools to enhance your daily workflow. Goal number three is to like we'll discuss the ethical implications of AI adoption, and this is not negotiable. Okay, so we have to use AI responsibility, and that is not something which is we can say that it is nice to have. Okay, it's part of the professional competence in 2026. And goal number four is you will learn how to upskill from an AI driven future. The World Economic Forum's most recent future of jobs estimates that around 40% of the current workplace skills will shift in the next 5 years. And I'll give you a personal upskilling roadmap, including which all the resources which you can use and the paid certifications also. So, and here is a roadmap for today's session. We'll starting with fundamentals, then business impact, ethical future, and what are the next steps for this. So let's get started. Okay. So before we define AI formally, I want you to make one point that always surprises my training audiences. You are already an experienced AI user. So you have been one for years. The technology is not coming. It's already here, quietly embedded in things that you trust every single day. Okay. So AI is not something new. It has become omnipresent. It's just that we need to realize it and start using it. So take smart assistants. When you say, "Hey Alexa, set the timer for 10 minutes," or "Hey Siri, call mom," or "Okay Google, what is the weather report tomorrow?" You are interacting with stack of AI technologies. There is a speech recognition, turning your voice into text, natural language understanding, figuring out your intent, and a knowledge layer fetching the answer, and the speech synthesis converting the response back to audio. 5 years ago, these systems made error every other sentence. Today, accuracy is above 95% for most accents. Okay. Next, what we have is personalization. So when Netflix quiz up shows that you have never heard of but end up loving, that is a recommendation engine trained on viewing patterns of hundreds of millions of users. And when Spotify's Discover Weekly playlist feels really perfect for your Monday morning, the same principle is at work. Okay. And these are not magic. Okay. They are pattern recognition at scale. Okay. Navigation is another invisible AI win. Google Map does not just show you a route. It predicts traffic 10, 20, 30 minutes into your journey based upon the real time data from millions of phones, historical patterns, with weather, road closures, and even some special events is there. So the route it picks for a Wednesday evening rush is different from the one it picks on Sunday morning. And that's the difference comes from AI. Even your email inbox is curated by AI. Spam filters block roughly like thousands of email on daily basis, okay, so that you get what you are entitled to. Okay, so you're not flooded with all the emails. And even smart replies suggest three short answers that often match what you would have typed anyway. So Gmail's autocomplete predicts the next few words of your sentence so accurately that on a phone you barely have to type. Okay, so if AI is already this useful in your personal life, saving your time, reducing friction, surfacing what you care about. So imagine what it can do for 8 hours a day you spend at work. And that is the conversation we'll have for the next rest of this session. And question is not whether to adopt AI. The question is which use cases will you give the biggest return on the smallest investment of your effort? Okay. Now let us formally define what AI actually is. Okay, now that we have grounded ourselves in everyday examples, let us define artificial intelligence properly. And here is a working definition that I want you to remember. Okay, so AI is a science and engineering of building machines that can perform tasks that traditionally required human intelligence. Okay, notice three words in that definition. First is science, because there is a rigorous research behind it. Engineering, because building these systems is hard and practical work. And traditionally, because what counts as requiring human intelligence keeps shifting. 20 years ago, playing chess at a grandmaster level was a benchmark for AI. Today, your phone can do that. So the bar keeps on moving. Okay. And there are four key capabilities that taken together gives you a system that is intelligent like humans. Okay, so we can say, in other words, AI is something which mimics human like capabilities. Okay, the thing which you can do similarly can be done by AI. Okay, so what are the key capabilities? So let's discuss one by one. So the first capability that we have is learning. Okay, and that is the heart of AI. The system improves with experience rather than being programmed rule by rule. Okay, so think of a child learning to recognize a cat. You don't give them a definition. Okay, you show them many cats and they form their own internal model. AI works the same way. Similarly, you might have experienced like how you have learned your mother language. Okay, your native language. Now it will be very difficult to start with something new. Okay, because our pattern, our way of approaching things have changed. Okay, so AI also works in the same way. Okay, feed it 10 millions of labels or labeled images, and then it can recognize the one on which is not fed to AI. Second capability that we have is reasoning. So this is solving problems logically, often in steps, like modern large language models like GPT-4, Claude, Gemini. Now break down a complex business question. Like, for example, should we expand into a Brazilian market? Okay, so what it will do, it will divide that into sub questions, weigh evidence, produce a structured answer. And it is not perfect reasoning, but it is increasingly useful as a thinking partner. Okay, when you don't have anyone to talk to, you can talk to Gen AI models and get the things done. And it's best for brainstorming. Okay, for example, if you're having a presentation and you don't know what are the things good about that presentation or what questions can be asked, simply put that in the Gemini and it can give you an answer, or any other large language models. Okay. And the third capability that we have is perception, which means that understanding the world through sensors, usually through cameras and even microphones. For example, self-driving cars, medical imaging. That's there are tools that spots tumor, radiologists miss, and the face ID on your phone that rely on perception. Okay, hospitals using AI vision to detect uh, diabetic retinopathy from eye scans now catch the disease months earlier. Okay, on an average than only through human only review. Okay, and fourth capability is language. Okay, so processing and generating human speech and text, we call it as a natural language processing, and this is the capability that exploded most dramatically in last 3 years. Okay, so you can interact with these systems in the language that you interact with other humans. So you don't have to learn their language. You just need to speak the way you are feeling, and rest will be onto the model to understand and give you the answers. Okay, so like it can help you in drafting an email, summarize a 50-page report, translate between hundreds of languages, and even explain a complex topic at any reading level you can ask for. Okay, so you just need to mention, hey, do this for these kind of audience, and the work will be done for you. And the combination of these four capabilities is what makes modern AI feel almost magical. Okay, and it is not magic, it's engineering. Okay, now let's look at the three different scales of AI ambition. Okay, so the most important conceptual clarification I do in any AI training is that there is a lot of hype and lot of fear in popular media, much of which mixes up three very different categories of AI. Now let's untangle them. So category number one on the left, what we have is we have narrow AI. Okay, also known as artificial narrow intelligence. Okay, this is the kind of AI that actually exists today. Every system you have ever used, it can be Siri, ChatGPT, Face ID, Netflix recommendations, the AI in your car lane assist is narrow. So what does narrow means? Narrow means a system which is excellent at one specific task or a small bundle of related tasks. Okay. And completely useless outside the scope. Okay. For example, ChatGPT cannot drive your car. Tesla's autopilot cannot write your wedding speech. The AI that diagnoses cancer from a scan cannot file your tax return. Each is a specialist, not a journalist. Okay. And a real world example to make this concrete is AlphaGo, the system that beat the world's best Go player in 2016 was a stunning achievement. But AlphaGo cannot play tic-tac-toe unless someone retrains it. And that is the boundary of narrow AI. Okay. Phenomenal performance inside a defined box, but zero capability outside it. Okay, category number two that we have is general AI. Okay, or artificial general intelligence. Okay, this is AI with human level intelligence across a wide range of tasks. Okay, learning a new skill from one example, reasoning about a brand new situations, and transferring knowledge from one domain to another. The way we do. Okay, so AGI does not exist yet. Okay, leading researchers disagree on whether it is 5 years away, 50 years away, or fundamentally further. Okay, what everyone agrees on is that we are not there today. Okay, and the category number three that we have is we have super intelligence. Okay, this is the theoretical scenario where AI surpasses the best human minds in every field, including scientific creativity. Okay, and it is the stuff of philosophical debate, science fiction, and longer term safety research. Okay, there is no engineering blueprint for ASI today. Okay, treating it as an eminent leads to a bad policy or worse business decisions. Okay, so why does this distinction matters you as a professional? Because when you read a headline like AI will replace all knowledge workers, okay, you can now ask which AI. Okay, the narrow AI of today augments specific tasks, so it does not replace whole jobs. Okay, so when you sit in a strategy meeting and someone says we should wait until AI is more journal before we adopt it, you can push back. Okay, narrow AI is producing a measurable ROI right now, today, and in every industry. Okay, so anchor yourself in narrow AI because that is the technology we are going to focus on for rest of the session because it is the only one you can deploy in your work this quarter. Make sense, everyone? If you're feeling everything is going good, you can give me a quick thumbs up and you are enjoying the session. Okay, now I want to demystify important terms that you hear around constantly, okay, which is machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI. Okay, so think of them as in concentric circles, each nested inside the broader idea of AI. So the outer ring in is AI in general. Okay, anything that mimics intelligent behavior. Inside that sits machine learning. So what machine learning is? Machine learning is a specific approach to AI in which algorithm learns from the data rather than being told every rule. Okay, for example, whether a student will pass or fail, whether the patient is suffering from a disease or not, and how much the stock will go up or go down tomorrow. Okay, all those we are going to fit with the examples, and system will learn on that. Okay, so here what we do in machine learning, if I want to simplify that, that system learns on the historical data to predict future values, whatever it is. Okay. So what happens is inside machine learning, there is one even more specialized technique known as deep learning or DL. So deep learning uses something called as artificial neural networks, which are inspired by how neurons in our brain connect to. Okay. And the word deep refers to the number of layers in neurons. So it can have millions and millions of neurons. Like the GPT-4 model, GPT-5 models are having around uh, 2 trillion neurons. Okay. So when your phone unlocks by looking at your face, that is deep learning. When your voice assistant transcribes a noisy meeting, that is deep learning. And the innermost and the newest is generative AI. Okay, often abbreviated as Gen AI. This is the frontier systems, okay, that do not just classify or predict, but actually create the new content. Okay, so it can be text, it can be images, audio, video, okay, even music and code also, and all are now within the reach of generative AI. Okay, so ChatGPT generates text, DALL-E and Midjourney generates an images, GitHub Copilot generates code, Suno generates music, and these two learns patterns from a massive amount of existing content and now produce new content in the similar styles. So these models are ready to be used as soon as you deploy them or you purchase a prescription subscription. Okay, you don't have to train them. Okay, these are already trained, you just need to know how to use and how to interact. Okay, so let's shift from the concepts to economics. Okay, the AI market is not just growing, okay, it's exploding, and the growth has direct implications on your career. Okay, the headline figure, okay, that research published in 2023 that the global AI market is projected to grow from roughly $200 billion dollars in 2023 to over $2.5 trillion by 2023. Okay, and that is more than a tenfold increase under a decade. Okay, smartphone market took about 15 years to reach a similar scale. Okay, now and is now considered mature. AI is following a steeper curve. Okay. And what is fueling this growth? There are three things. First is the cost of compute keeps falling. Training a large model in 2020 cost tens of millions of dollars. Today, comparable performance can be achieved from fraction of that. Second, what we have is the availability of the data has exploded. Okay. Every business now collects more data in a week than it collects in a decade 20 years ago. And third is the user interface has gone mainstream. ChatGPT made AI accessible to anyone who can type a question. And that changed everything. Okay. So a real world example of how this growth translates into business reality is Microsoft's revenue from Azure AI services grew triple digits year over year in 2024 and 25. Nvidia, which makes the chips that trains these models, briefly became the most valuable company in the world. McKinsey estimates that the generative AI alone could add between 2 to 4 trillion dollars to the global GDP every year by 2030. And these are not speculative numbers. These are based on bottom-up analysis of specific industries and use cases. Now, what does this mean personally to you? Okay, there are three things that you can consider. First, the AI skill premium. AI skill is premium in the job market is real. LinkedIn data shows that the job posting mentioning AI skills offer on average 20 to 50% higher salaries than the equivalent roles without that. Second is the number of net new jobs in AI adjacent fields like prompt engineering, AI ethics, MLOps, data curation is growing faster than the supply of the qualified people. Okay. And third, even in the non-AI roles, employers increasingly expect candidates to demonstrate competence with AI tools. Okay. The way one expected competence with Microsoft Office. Okay. And a cautionary note on these numbers because, see, as a trainer, I owe you intellectual honesty. Market predictions are estimates, not prophecies. Okay. So, 2.5 trillion figure assumes continued investment, no major regulatory backslash, and continued algorithmic process. Okay. Any of those could change, but even if the actual number is half of the projection, we are still talking about one of the largest economic shifts of our lifetime. Okay, so the message is pretty simple. That is not a fact to wait on. Okay, it is a wave to ride. The remainder of our session is about how you specifically write it. Okay, so big market numbers are abstract. Let's bring them into then down to earth by looking at what are the four practical ways AI is transforming day-to-day business operations. Okay, so the first quarter that we have is productivity. Okay, so AI automates repetitive tasks, streamline workflows, and most consistently productivity finding across hundreds of corporate case studies is the knowledge workers using AI tools complete writing heavy tasks with 30 to 35% faster and with a quality rated as comparable or better. Okay, like a global law firm rolled out an AI contract review assistant to its junior associates. So the time spent on the first pass review of the standard non-disclosure agreements fell from 40 minutes to under 10, with no increase in error rate. And that is roughly 4 hours saved per associate per weeks, which ultimately translates into either lower client bills or more strategic work. Second is the decision making. So AI gives leaders data driven insights for faster and better strategic choices. Okay. So the classic and what it brings is like instead of you working on intuition for every decision, here what you will have is you will have a data backed decision. For example, for a particular country, okay, which country is using your products most? Okay, so what you can do, or it can be related to inventory management, like for which product I should keep inventory high, which product I should keep inventory low, and especially in which warehouse so that I can deliver that product quickly. Okay, and I can save the logistic cost also. And it can be for any field where numbers are involved and where deliverables are there. Okay. Third is your quality because AI improves quality through predictive maintenance and enhanced quality control. Okay. And this predictive maintenance is one of my favorite under the radar applications like sensor monitors, equipments like pumps, motors, jet engines, and even an AI predicts failures before they can happen. Okay. The major airline reported a 60% reduction in an unplanned engine maintenance after deploying predictive AI. Okay. So in manufacturing, computer vision systems on assembly line catches defects that human eye misses. Okay. With detection rates above 95%. Okay. And fourth is the well-being. And this is the most overlooked impact. So by eliminating tedious tasks, AI lets people focus on creative and meaningful work. Okay. So a specific example can be found in healthcare. A US hospital network deployed AI scribes for doctors, transcribing patient visits automatically. Physicians who used the tool reported recovering 2 hours of every evening pajama time before previously spent on paper. And patient satisfaction went up because doctor made more eye contact during the visits. Okay. And important thing is like all four of these benefits are compound. A more productive team makes better decisions, shapes high quality output, and feels better doing it. So AI is not just an efficiency layer, it is a culture layer. Okay. And as you reflect on your organization, ask which of these four would have the biggest impact on us in the next quarter. And that is the right starting point for an AI strategy. Okay. So AI is not confined to tech companies. Okay. Every major industry has a clear measurable adoption stories. Let me walk you through four of the sectors to give you a sense of breadth. Okay, so first is healthcare. AI is transforming all the layers of medicine, starting with disease detection, drug discovery, and even personalized medicine. So AI can tailor mm, treatment plans based on patient's genetic profile, history, and real-time vitals. Pfizer used AI extensively to speed up the COVID vaccine development cycle. Okay. Second, what we have finance. Okay. Three workhorses: application, fraud detection. Every major credit card network now uses AI models that flags suspicious transactions in milliseconds. And with false positive rates are the tenth of what they were decade ago. Okay. One example I can give you is see, my spending pattern can be different from you. Okay. So it might be the case that if I'm having performing a transaction of, let's say, $10,000 or $5,000. Okay. And you are on an average making a transaction of $30,000, $40,000. So if I'll make a transaction of $50,000, okay. So model can mark it as suspicious or even it can deny it for the very first try. Okay. On the other hand, if you are making that transaction, it might be allowed because that is normal for your account. So what is normal to you might be uh, might not be normal to me. Okay. And that's what AI brings in. And we cannot do that on a rule-based system. If that was the case, then that 50,000 transaction should be allowed. Okay. Which should not be. Make sense? Okay, and even there are other markers on which it decides whether the transaction should be allowed or not. For example, location. If suddenly there is a request coming for my credit card from US, it might deny it. Okay, because I live in some other country. So it can happen. Okay, and AI is making it possible using thousands of signals far beyond the traditional credit score, making lending faster, fairer, and more accurate when implemented carefully. And third that we have is we have retail. So inventory management has been revolutionized. Walmart and Amazon uses AI to forecast demand at an individual SKU and store level, reducing both stockouts and overstocking. Personalized shopping experiences extend from product recommendations to dynamic pricing. So if you are purchasing a product, okay, and what it will show you related items. Okay, so if you're purchasing an iPhone, there is no sense in showing you an ad of Samsung cover. It should be a complete package so that you can purchase. Okay, and there are high chances like if you're purchasing an iPhone, you can go for its cover, its guard, and even a protection plan because all those things are related, and even it is working far beyond that. So let's say if you have purchased today something and that item should be used on a recurring basis, so it can give you a reminder, hey, you it's time to purchase this or it's time to purchase that, which is personalized to you. So what AI is ultimately bringing in is the personalization based on the data. Okay, similarly with transportation. Okay, so industry overviews are useful, but case studies are sticky. Okay, so let me share you three real world case studies that I keep coming back into the training because they are concrete, measurable, and replicate in spirit. Okay. So first, what we have is logistics. Okay. Major European parcel delivery company deployed AI-driven route optimization across its fleet. Sorry. Okay. The system ingests the real-time traffic, can be weather, packaging volume, and the historical patterns, and recalculates each driver's route up to every 5 minutes. And the published result was that a 15% reduction in fuel consumption and a meaningful improvement in on time delivery rates. Drivers, importantly, were trained on the new system rather than being replaced. Okay, they use the AI as a co-pilot. Okay, carbon emissions fell proportionally, contributing to the company's sustainability goals. Okay, so AI in logistics is not exotic. Okay, it is now table stakes. The gains are large enough that are not adopting, okay, puts you at a structural cost disadvantage. Next, what we have is customer service. Okay, so telecommunications provider in Southeast Asia deployed AI chatbot to handle tier 1 customer queries, bill explanations, plan changes, network outage updates. Now that bot now handles roughly 80% of the incoming queries without any human escalations. The remaining 20%, okay, are the genuinely complex or emotionally sensitive cases. So they go to human agents who can have more time per ticket. Customer satisfaction scores went up, not down, because tier 1 queries gets instant resolution any time of the day. Okay, so a well-designed AI plus human handoff outperforms either alone. Okay, and third, what we have is we have agriculture. So a consortium of farms in India and Kenya deployed this, okay, for with AI image analysis and taken everything under consideration, like what can be applied, when should we give fertilizers, when we should be watering the plants and all, and what is the best time to do that. Okay, so every business faces three perennial main points. Okay, first is the data overload. The problem is that organizations now generate more data than they can process. Okay, so nowadays problem with the organization is not that they are having lack of data, they are having ample amount of data, and AI solution is there to automate data processing, cleaning, and summarizing. Okay, second problem that we face is scalability. So business needs to expand infrastructure efficiently. Okay, so uh, the AI solution should be dynamic. Okay, AI driven cloud resources allocation, modern cloud platforms. Okay, so this can help you in saving more money during quiet hours by spinning down unused resources. Or you can consider the Netflix policy. The traffic which they receive in night is usually higher than in daytime. So what they will do of the unutilized resources in the afternoon. Okay. So, and the third challenge over here is the security. Okay. So cyber threats evolves faster than any human security team can keep up. So we have to keep all these things under consideration when we are doing it. Okay. Now we what we entered now is the my experience is the most important conversation in any AI training, ethics. Okay. And technical adoption without ethical literacy is a recipe for damaged reputations, legal exposure, and even human. And it is divided into mainly into four pillars. The first is bias, okay, which ensures that the you should be treating people equally in front of AI without considering their gender, their age, and race for decision making. Pillar two is privacy. Okay, so what we should do once the data model is trained, and second is what we should do, like how we are storing that, who is having access to the data. That is an important thing. And third is a transparency, like who is making that decision and why, that decision has been made. For example, if you have applied for a loan and your loan gets rejected, so what you will feel is like it's completely okay that you have disapproved my loan, but at least tell me the reasons on which you have denied my loan so that I can improve in future. And if that bank employee simply says, hey, that all these things are not in my hand, there is a system which takes a decision and my hands are tied. So you will feel cheated with the bank or with the uh, relationship you had with that bank or that organization. Okay. Last, not the least, is the accountability. Okay. So when an AI system makes a costly mistake, okay, for example, with the help of AI, you have decided that you should invest in a particular stock and it failed drastically. So who should be responsible for it? Clear? So either it is a developer, the deploying company, the operator, the user. So the honest answer is that the legal frameworks are still maturing. Okay. But the practical answer is that in your organization, you should designate a clear human owners for every AI deployment. The human in law principle is not just ethically hygiene, but it is operational discipline. Okay. So what we have is we have generative AI, which has unlocked innovation. So with it, what you can do, you can interact with them in a human language, natural language. Hey, do this, write an email for this. Or for example, you have received an email and you're not able to form words, or sometimes what can happen is like it will take a lot of time. So what you have done is like you have provided an email and you have simply said, hey, this is what I need to reply for this mail, restructure it and give it to me in better words. So by that, you don't have to invest a lot of time and energy in writing that. Or if you want to create a visual, or you want to create a marketing campaign, whatever it is, you just need to define what needs to be done, who is the target audience, and generative AI can take that. And most importantly, what it is doing is like it is not replacing creativity, it is a new brush for the digital artist. Photography didn't kill painting, it freed painters to explore impressionism and abstract art. So the printing press did not kill calligraphy, it democratized the written word. Generative AI is in the same lineage. A new medium that expands what human can do, not a replacement for human imagination. Okay, so we have come to the question that keeps people up at night. Will AI take my job? The honest answer is AI will not take your entire job, but it will change every job. The right framework is displacement versus augmentation. Some tasks will be displaced, automated out of human hands. Okay. Others will be augmented. A human plus AI working together, producing can produce more than either alone. So most jobs are portfolio of tasks. Each job evolves, depends on the mix. Okay. So it totally depends upon you. Like what it is doing is like it is obviously it is eating that non-productive part of your job. Okay. So you have to evolve. You have to learn how to perform things in this new era of AI. Okay. And new roles are emerging. For example, AI ethicist who performs organization navigating responsible use questions, like we discussed earlier, prompt engineers, data curators, MLOps engineers who keep models running reliably in production. So today these are the some of the fastest growing categories on LinkedIn. Okay. Now, how you can build the confidence is there are four practical principles that you can start applying today. First principle is start small. Don't try to learn everything at once. Pick one free AI tool. It can be ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or even can be Microsoft Copilot. Use it for 1 hour day for 2 weeks on real task of your real job. Okay. And that is the most effective than reading 10 articles or watching 20 videos. Okay. Hand on hands on time. See, for that. But what you need is you need a structured approach. Okay. Like how you can align things so that you will be productive. So, and that is where most people get lost. Okay. They try to read something from here, something from there, and don't know how to put everything together. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to focus on concepts, not the tools, because tools can change. Okay. Like 2 years ago, everyone was learning stable diffusion. Now it's mid journey and Dali. 2 years from now, there will be something new. What endures is that underlying concepts, the language that model works, what prompting techniques are reliable, when to trust AI output and when to verify it, how to generate AI into a workflow. Okay. And third principle is like get formal certification. So self-directed learning is great, and but a recognized credential demonstrates competence to employers and forces you through a structured curriculum that covers the gap that you might not have spotted. Okay. For examples, programs like AI Plus, everyone from AI certs are designed for working professionals, do not require coding background, and combine practical applications with ethical and strategic context. Okay. Next, what we have is stay curious. Okay. See, I'll tell you one thing, working with AI is a journey, not a destination. So you have to keep on working on that path. And every day you might get something new, but the baseline will remain same. Okay. Are you curious to learn new things so that you can become more productive in your day-to-day work? Okay. So how you can integrate that? There are four steps that you can work with. First is define your goals. Like before you touch anything, before you touch any tool, write down specific problem that you want to solve with AI. Okay. Not simply say, hey, we want to use AI. That is a means, not a goal. Instead, we want to reduce a customer support wait time by 50%, or we want to cut our financial close cycle from 10 days to 5 days. Okay. Specific, measurable, time bound goals disciplines the entire effect. Like when an insurance client told me they wanted to leverage AI, we spent 2 hours redefining that into three concrete goals, each with matrices, and only then did tool selection became straightforward. Okay. Next is your uh, assets readiness. Okay. So if AI project failed more often because of the data quality and team skills, because of the model performance. Before launching anything, audit two things. The data, do you have enough and relevant data accessible to train and fine tune the model? And second, do you have enough skills in your team to understand both the business problem and the AI tool? See, today your organization has decided, hey, let's start using AI. And so from tomorrow, you might not be able to do that because there is a gap between what you know and what is required. Okay. And it's better to know at first know that there is a gap which you need to fill with the knowledge. Okay. And what you have to do is you have to start small. So launch a pilot project, narrow scope, low risk, and fast feedback. So what you can do is you can pick up a use case where success is easy to measure and failure is recoverable. So should we implement AI? Yes. Should we implement in all parts of organization at the same time? No. Start small, win big. And last is what you can do is you can scale accordingly. Okay. So once your pilot proves out, scale it methodologically. Okay. Document what worked and build internal champions who can train others. And moreover, you have to establish governance, including all the ethical guardrails like that we discussed earlier. And resist the temptation to scale before you have learned. A pilot that succeeds in one team can fail in another if you ignore the cultural and the procedural differences. Okay, school is not just a bigger pilot, but it is a different problem. Clear? There are a lot of tools available, like we have no code platforms, we have visual builders, and even we have conversational AI. Okay. And that is a category that has gone mainstream fastest. Large language models like ChatGPT and all can serve you as an intellectual sparing partners and productivity boosters for almost any knowledge work. Okay. So now we are entering into the final block of our session. I want to introduce you to an AI plus everyone, a structured pathway for those who want to go from awareness to genuine literacy and credential competence. Okay, so AI plus everyone is a comprehensive certification that takes you from foundational concepts through practical applications from there into a cutting edge advancement of the field. Okay, so on the fundamental side, the program covers what intelligence even means in machine context. On the technical side, technical here means concepts, not coding. Okay, so programs explores machine learning, neural network in some depths. You learn how a neuron in artificial network behaves, how layers stack into each other. Okay. And then we have natural language processing, which as its own pillar because it underpins so many tools that you are going to use day by day. Then we have computer vision. Then we have programs also lays the groundwork for understanding of the future technology. And that is not a prediction, but as an orientation and where this field is heading. So throughout the course, every concept is paired with the practical examples and case studies. You don't just learn what is recurrent network, but you see how it is used in voice assistants, machine translation, and even in other fields. Okay. So if you commit to AI plus everyone, you will finish with a mental map of the field and the vocabulary to engage with experts and the practical knowledge to start applying AI in your work. And this is an overall curriculum for this course. Okay. And who should enroll? So who is the one that certification is designed for? The answer is a wide range of people with a specific personas in a mind. Okay. So let us close the program section by looking at the concrete items, concrete outcomes you can expect after completing. So you can have a comprehensive understanding, ethical awareness, practical applications, and future preparedness. Okay. So that's all for this session. So we have reached the end of the structured content. Now we open the floor. Okay. So, and we can start with a Q&A. And frankly, this is often the most valuable part of any training session. So before we take session, let me give you with three brief asks. First, please drop uh, top one or two questions into the chat right now, even if you do not plan to ask them out loud. Okay. Second, write down one concrete commitment you are taking from this session. Okay, just one. It might be, hey, I will try using ChatGPT on three real world tasks this week, or I will read about EU Act. Okay, or I will propose an AI pilot in my team next meeting, or I will enroll to AI plus everyone by end of this month. Specific commitments turns information into a change. Vague intentions do not survive Monday morning. Okay, so let's get to your questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nahid, for that insightful session. I would now request the audience to please drop in any questions, any doubts regarding the presentation or the topic we discussed, or maybe the certification that we just showed you on the screen. Please feel free to drop any questions if you have. Nahid, we'll just give a couple of minutes
Yes,
to
yes,
people to
sure,
just
sure.
mention
Mm.
them in the chat here. So it seems that we have covered the topic so well that there are no questions for now. But if in case people you have any questions, any doubts, please feel free to reach out to us. Nihit, we do have one question. Do we have a module on how AI will reshape management?
Just a minute. See, this is an altogether different vertical. The first thing that I will recommend is first understand what AI is and what are its capabilities. Okay, then you can move on to the next step because we have courses for every steps in the management ladder. We do have, Parvana.
Definitely. So we do
Mhm.
have 70 plus certifications. Those are role-based certifications. So we would request you to please go through our websites. We already have mentioned both AI Certs and Leadership Force Academy's website in the chat box. Please feel free to explore each and every certification and just understand and select what is best for you and your as per your interest. Also, we have shared certain discounts, so please make the purchases as per your choices.
Yes, there are, Gabriel. You can go through the complete catalog. So on AI certs, we are having more than 70 plus role-based certifications. Okay, those are not general, but specific to a particular role. So you can get information from there.
Yeah. You could just explore the website and see what suits best
Mhm.
as per your profession or your interest. And you can use the discount coupons that we have shared in the chat box. And also we'll be sharing your participation certificates and recording of the session shortly after this webinar gets over. So feel free to share them on LinkedIn as well and tag AI Certs and Leadership Force Academy. We'll be very happy to engage with you all. Uh, to stay connected with us and learn more about our upcoming sessions, I would request you to please visit our website and follow our social media channels. Thank you once again, everyone. Thank you, Leadership Force Academy, and thank you so much, Nihit, for this wonderful session today.
Most welcome. And thanks for the opportunity. Thank you, team.